Hello and welcome to India Revival Mission, and today we've got a very special guest, Mr. MK Surana from HPCL, joining in to help us understand how really is India reviving. Mr. Surana, pleasure having you on the show today, sir. As we are entering Unlock 5.0 now, help us really understand how is it that you're seeing fuel demand both when it comes to petrol as well as diesel.
Yeah, good day to all of your viewers. As you are aware that after the lockdown was announced and the movements were restricted, the demand for the petroleum products, especially MS and HSD, had come down drastically down. In the month of March, the petrol demand has come down in the last week, and in the month of April, it was down almost by 50% of what we used to have normally in the month of April last year. Petrol demand came down by almost 60%, diesel demand came down by 55%, and aviation fuel demand came down almost by 91%. Of course, LPG demand went up because everybody was at home and the people also had anxiety to have their both cylinders filled in. As the slow and gradual relaxations were announced by central government and various state government and local authorities, the demand started picking up. And as of September, the demand for petrol has almost come to 100% of what we used to have last year, the same month of September. It means that the petrol demand has revived and it is turning into the positive growth territory now. That is predominantly because more people are coming by their private vehicles. People are still afraid of using the public transport. Some of the things are opening up, the offices are opening up, and the people have started coming out. As far as diesel demand is concerned, that also picked up as the movement of the goods and services started. And in September, we had the demand of the diesel, which is almost 93% of what we had in September of last year. LPG demand, of course, continued to be higher than 100%. And even aviation fuel demand, of course, not all the flights are operating. The international flights have not started yet. But still, it has picked up from low of 9% or so to almost 45 to 50%. So overall, a very smart and V-shaped recovery in the petroleum products. Now, as far as diesel is concerned, to reach it to 100%, we need some more construction activities, industrial activities to pick up. This may be slightly a slow movement from 93, 94 to 100% and to get to the positive territory as far as diesel are concerned. But as far as petrol is concerned, it is a combination of two divergent factors. One is that some people are started operating from home. Many offices have given that leeway to their employees and the flexibility to their employees, which is restricting the demand. But at the same time, more people using their own vehicles rather than relying on the private, rather than relying on the public transport, that is adding to the demand. So we are hoping that now when this festive season will kick in India from October, November, and the more relaxation will be announced and the things approaches towards the normalcy. And unless if there is a very aggressive second wave, we hope that the demand should start reviving from the next quarter and should reach to the normal in the next quarter.
Good to hear that. Mr. Surana, you supply fuel to almost all sectors of the economy. What is your own sense and reading with channel checks on the ground as to where really is the recovery coming in from, besides, of course, the everyday commute that you already mentioned about?
So if you see the industrial products, like let's say lubricating oils, which goes to industries apart from the transportation vehicles as well. Or let's say bitumen, which is used for road construction. Or let's say fuel oil, which goes to industries. Or let's say gas, which goes to also some part to industry, some to fertilizer, and some to transportation vehicles or CNG and PNG. But we have seen a recovery in industrial products also. For example, for HPCL, the lubricating oil sales from let's say April to August month, has almost reached to the level of what we had the last year, April to August month. Even in bitumen, we almost reached to 85% of the demand as some of the road activities were taken up. So that means that there is a revival, maybe slower than the transportation sector, where that was the first requirement. There was almost a V-shaped recovery. Even if you see some of the auto sector data, there are demands which are coming up, of course, fueled by the need of the people to have their own vehicles because of the scare of pandemic, if you are traveling by public transport. So I think that the economy is reviving. Of course, it needs a full supply chain to become operational because we still do not see a lot many people on the shops or malls, or even though the shops, some of the cities, the malls and all have opened, but you won't see the crowd yet. So the more from the e-commerce business, the people are getting their products. But as the full supply chain becomes operational, and then I think the further part of the economy may travel. Right now, what is happening is the essential ones. The leisure buying or leisure travel or fun travels or fun buying is not happening as of today. So I think the last 10-20% recovery will take some more time in my opinion.
Mr. Surana, how is it that your refineries are operating right now in terms of capacity utilization? You just talked about personal mobility and as to how that's pretty much at par with pre-COVID levels. And would you say that it's rebounding faster than what you're producing in terms of petrol and diesel, just when it comes to the personal mobility and the transportation segment?
Supply chain of petroleum products is a very unique one, and it is not that you can just make and store for a longer time. There is a limitation on the ullages which you have. Now, so when the demand was constrained, then the refineries were required to limit their throughput rates. Now, as far as HPCL is concerned, because we sell a lot more than what we refine in our own refineries. So along with our joint venture refineries, we refine around 25 million ton, but we sell around 40 million ton. So, and apart from that, we had cross-country pipelines and excellent marketing infrastructure. So while HPCL, even during the lockdown period, was able to operate its refineries almost to 100% capacity. And even as of today, we are operating at around 100+% capacity and 102% capacity. Some of the other companies were required to restrict their throughput to almost 50% or so, 50 to 60%. But with the pickup of the demand, there also the refinery throughputs have got ramped up. And I think as of today, the other companies are operating in the range of 70 to 80%. And HPCL is operating to 100% capacity. But one thing we need to remember is in the refinery sector, it is there is a combination of various products which come out. So while there may be demand for LPG, but you cannot just produce LPG. So there will be other products as well come out. So if there are demand constraints on some of the products, in that case, it may limit the refinery throughputs. So for example, currently some of the refineries do face the problems on diesel, which is right now the demand in the diesel has reached to around 93%, but still had not gone to the growth territory, while the demand for LPG and MSA picked up. So either the people will end up exporting, which is may not be very advantageous, and then they need to restrict the throughput to ensure that the inventories are not beyond a required level. The second part is because the petroleum sector do have the daily variation in the pricing. So if you got too much of inventory at some point of time and the prices falls, then you may end up into inventory losses. So the people become conscious of that fact also. But otherwise, I think the refinery run rates also have smartly picked up from, I'm saying in general as industry, from around 60% to 80% level. In HPCL case, we were able to operate at 100% level. And I think that is better than expectation as far as the petroleum sector is concerned on the demand growth. Uh, Now, the last leg of 5% or so, which we definitely need the 5 to 10%, we need the construction sector, industrial sector to grow and come back online as quickly as possible.
Sure. I also wanted to understand, Mr. Surana, as to what's happening when it comes to your expansion plans that you had charted out for your refineries, and have they also been impacted because of, the sudden outbreak of COVID-19 or delayed, especially when it comes to improving the complexity levels of your refineries?
So as you may be aware, we had an expansion of both of our refineries and one new greenfield refinery coming up at Rajasthan. Now, during the COVID time, definitely we were required to close our sites to protect the health of the workforce which we have. And during that period, we did make special provisions to ensure that the safety and the welfare of the workforce is taken care in workers' camps, etc., or to, if they were required to move back to their home places. And we did facilitate that to the extent possible. And now subsequently as the relaxations occurred in the lockdown, especially from April end onwards, and then the sites have been revived. And as of today, all our construction sites have started. So both Vizag Refinery, Mumbai Refinery, Rajasthan, Chara, Badmer, as well as our Bathinda petrochemical complex. All the project sites are on, and as of today, maybe around 40,000 people are working at our various project sites, and the numbers are picking up every day. And but what we need to ensure that we still need to ensure the health of the people. There are social distancing norms. There are entry checks. We need to stagger the lunch timings, the entry timings to the workers, so that we can take care of the health and safety of the people. Also, because some of the material which we need to get from the other places have to come. But fortunately for us, because our projects are in advanced construction stages, the most of the major critical equipment and the material was already at site. And now, like our Vishak refinery site has got around 10,000 people, or let's say Bathinda site has got around 12,000 people, or even Rajasthan site, we have around 5,000 people. So we had been able to revive our construction sites and the projects have started. Of course, the 100% of the pre-lockdown stage is yet to reach, but the workers are returning quickly now. And we are hopeful that we will be able to complete both of our expansion projects in the next calendar year, and our bottom upgradation facility for Vizag in the year 22, and the Badmer refinery coming up in 2023. So the project's progress has picked up. That was also one of the area which was impacted during the lockdown. But one thing I want to add that during this period of lockdown,
yes.
The resilience of the oil industry and the team has got tested, and that is why a lot of the initiatives were taken to ensure that the business continues, the essential commodities are supplied, and at the same time, the safety and welfare of the workforce and the employees are also taken care. And I'm happy that we could do that. Just to give an example, that during the lockdown period, by the oil industry, around 71 crore LPG cylinders were supplied, almost around 50 lakh cylinders per day. And there is a whole supply chain which works right from the refinery to bottling plant to transport movement of bulk and packed products, and then delivery right up to home. And it includes the whole sort of ecosystem, which includes the delivery boys, the forecourt boys, etc. And it could be done. And that shows the resilience and the strength of the organizations.
Oh, absolutely. And kudos to you and your team for that. In fact, the entire industry as well. Like you just told me before the interview, Mr. Surana, that since the lockdown announcement, you've been going to office every day and never worked from home.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's not only me. There is a lot of people in our company who has been working, because our industry is such that while something wherever possible, we did try to provide the facilities to work from home. But refineries cannot be operated from home, or LPG plants cannot be operated from home, or the terminals or the pipelines cannot be operated from home. And when our full force is working, then we need to be with the people. So we did work. Yes, I also worked all the days from office, and but we did take the precautions. And wherever possible, we empowered the people to work from home. We readjusted our shift timings. Like in the refineries, we have got 8-hour shift, 3-shift operation. We convert into 2-shift operation of 12 hours, so that the movement is restricted. The total strength which is exposed to work environment is reduced to 2/3 from 100. Similarly, wherever all the paraphernalia and support staffs were given given holidays, so that everybody does the work with the least of the paraphernalia and the support. But at the same time, the things which are essential are definitely done. And also there was additional empowerment which was given in terms of approval, in terms of the digital technology was leveraged to a substantial extent like never before. So like video conferencing or remote working, the virtual network access, etc. were all done. And some of this will become permanent because it brings efficiency. At the same time, it improves the effective work time. Like if you are attending the meeting, the time of going and coming back gets saved if you are joining by video conferencing. And incidentally, for HPCL, we were already have embarked on a digital journey where we were trying to work out how to leverage the new age technologies for the benefit of the organization in terms of customer connect, in terms of asset efficiency. And fortunately for us, some of these came very handy. And we also got some new learnings which we can incorporate in this digital transformation journey of ours. And we were anyway started it, and incidentally, the need for that has been proved like never before.
Good to hear that, Mr. Surana. And once again, hats off to you and your team. It made our lives during lockdown extremely simple. We don't realize it sometimes, but there are many afoot, at work behind the scenes really to make our everyday living possible. But I want to now talk about some numbers, Mr. Surana. Where is it that you see your gross refining margins head to once the refineries do get upgraded? And also, how is it that you foresee the refining cycle to actually head going forward?
So refinery margins had been under pressure in last, let's say, whole of the year because of low cracks on petrol and diesel. And that was on the back of surplus inventories of the products of the crude oil. So crude oil prices also had been volatile and had been keeping low. And the cracks on petrol, diesel had also been low. In fact, simultaneously low cracks on petrol and diesel had not been seen earlier to such an extent, which was almost in the range of $2, $3. In fact, sometime it even went to negative. And slowly and gradually, the way we are seeing is the petrol cracks are improving. That is because the demand of the petrol is picking up faster than diesel. Even earlier also, the growth in the petrol was in the range of 6% to 8%, while the diesel had been around 2%, 3%, and last year it has been almost flatter or negative. Going forward, as the surplus inventories gets absorbed, that will be on the back of the revival of the demand. And some of the refineries not operating, especially on the Western world, because of the lower margins. In that case, the cracks will start improving. If you see the Singapore margins, which it has improved in the recent quarter, And we expect that this will improve further. So the refinery cycle is turning back, and we see that by the time our projects are commissioned, the refinery cycle should turn to be positive. It is always a cyclic nature, because as the demand starts picking up, then the supply-demand ratio favors the margins. And when the margins are good, people start putting up more facilities and projects. And these projects have got a bit longer period, because it takes 4 to 5 years to set up a refinery or a petrochemical complex. And when you set up a new facility, you always take some demand for the future. So there is some surplus capacity gets created. And then again, the margins start going down. So it follows a cycle. But we expect that the refinery cycle, it has already seen a low now, and it has started picking up. In fact, we were expecting that 21 itself, it will start picking up. Maybe because of COVID, it would have got delayed a little bit. But by the time our projects get commissioned by 22nd, 2022, 2021, end of 22, the refinery margin should definitely be on a upside. And that augurs well for us. Incidentally, not by design, but had it been our projects had been commissioned a year earlier, it hit the commissioning stage at a lower refining margin. So as a company, I think this timing is good for us. Additionally, it brings the additional product portfolio of petrochemicals for us, and that should help to improve the margin substantially. Apart from that, because we are putting up the bottom upgradation facilities in our Vizag refinery, which will convert normally the bottoms of the barrel of crude gets converted to pet coke or fuel oil. But this new technology will convert the bottoms to distillates, that is diesel and other lighter products. So that will give further margins. So we expect a reasonable boost to our refinery margin as well after commissioning of these facilities, apart from efficiency coming in because of the larger size distillation units and instead of the smaller size units. So some of the smaller units gets replaced by the higher side, more efficient, more energy efficient units. And apart from that, we are also adding natural gas portfolio to our system. And as you are aware that we are setting up a gasification terminal. We are also participating in the cross-country pipelines. We got a authorization from PNGRB for around 20 geographical areas in around 9 states. And we are also have installed the facilities to sell CNG at around 550 petrol stations right now, and we are adding it up more. Apart from that, we are also expanding our retail outlet networks. So almost around 1,000 petrol pumps will be commissioning in this year. Even during the lockdown time, we have commissioned around 230 or 300 petrol pumps. So we are expanding, and our refinery or pipelines, cross-country pipelines, which we had the second largest network in the country. During the period also, we have commissioned 2 pipelines. One is from Baroda to Palanpur. That project was commissioned 6 months ahead of schedule, and 90% of the approved cost. And we have added another cross-country pipeline from Uran to Chakan, that is for LPG, which will reduce the tanker movement on the road, and which will help the environment. We are also doing a lot of things on biofuels. So for the use of compressed biogas as a means, it helps in using the agri-waste. At the same time, it avoids the burning of the agri-products, and it provides a new source of income for the agricultural sector, and it reduces the import bill as well. And it is more sustainable and environment friendly. So we have issued an LOI for around 71 CBG plants, which the private entrepreneurs can set up, and we will be taking that gas and selling through our CNG stations. So that's another thing which we are doing.
Right. Mr. Surana, such a pleasure having you on the show today to help us give us a color of where things stand for HPCL right now and, of course, where things are headed, giving us the bigger picture. Pleasure having you on this edition of India Revival Mission.